Good day to all of you. My name is Naren Selvaratnam and I am from Deep Haven Counseling. And if you have been following my videos, you might have noticed already that I didn't post anything for the last 4 weeks. I was slightly busy writing my thesis, and with some publication work that was going on, it was slightly difficult. But then again, today I decided that I want to make a very simple video to discuss something very important, not for clients or for anybody else, but for everybody who is working in our industry. Not just psychotherapy or counseling, but generally speaking, healthcare. Now, as some of you might already know, I primarily deal with quite a lot of individuals through WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is our first contact point. So if someone wants to have a session, or counseling session, what they could do is they can either go to Google, drop me a message through our Google profile. If not, they can, contact me through my website. They can submit a form. Or if not, they can simply send me a WhatsApp text. And usually when this initial contact is done, I communicate with the client. Sometimes, the communication is just limited for a few messages. Sometimes that could be a couple of emails. Sometimes that could be, or this could be a call also. Maybe a 5-minute call, maybe a 10-minute call. And in certain situations, I have had calls worth of, 2 hours or 1 hour for that matter. But there is one important reason why we are doing this kind of calls. Why? Because we need to know whether this client is someone that I can be assisted. There are some instances where my expertise wouldn't match with them. So I need to know where exactly they are coming from. And also, a person who is in distress is someone who is expecting some kind of assistance from the person on the other side. So it won't cost me anything to listen to that person and say something. Not just saying something, but I can try to understand their situation and then give some suggestions like what you can do. And yes, sometimes when people contact me, they make requests that might not comply with what I usually do. And I also expect myself to be compensated for everything that I do. But then again, that's a secondary thing. That is when we schedule an appointment, and thereafter, when they schedule it, they can pay, and then I do my job. But before that, that entire discussion, sometimes, the one that goes to 30 minutes, 1 hour, I sometimes educate my clients about, or my potential clients about, how certain things need to be done. Because I don't believe people should pay for everything. I don't think that every word that comes out of my mouth is something that needs to be compensated with, which is one of the reasons why I am putting things as much as possible on free platforms, which is why we have a journal that pretty much does not charge anything from individuals to post their papers, publish their work, which is why we are creating a framework to help everyone gain everything for minimal costs as much as possible. I think that should be how this industry should work. But unfortunately, it has become extremely business oriented. Well, you can call it a business, and you can, try to create a business out of your expertise, which is perfectly all right. But there still needs to be some amount of humanity in the work that you do. Now, very recently, this was the reason why I was making this video, because very recently I sent a text message to someone requesting whether it is possible for me to come and talk about one of the issues that I'm having right now, because I have some severe back pain and I have been taking medication for it for a long time. So I was given a recommendation by one of my friends and told, we all of us work in the same place, so you go and just talk to him. Or rather, I'll introduce. So I was given the number, and then I sent a text message saying, look, this is my issue. And I have been taking medication, and I honestly wasn't expecting a treatment on the, place itself, but I rather just communicated the matter. And in instances like this, if someone makes me when someone sends me a message saying, hey, can I come and talk to you in your workplace? Even if that person and I work in the same place, if I don't feel comfortable, I always tell them, look, that's all right. You can come and talk to me, but then again, I won't be able to treat you here because this is not where I usually conduct my treatment. So then, in that case, it would be great if you and I can meet somewhere outside. But doesn't matter, that's even a second step. But still, I would say hi or hello or something like that before I do anything else. And I would honestly, by all means, I would try to understand the problem. If you send me a message, that's the first thing I would do. I talk to people. If not, through text, I help them understand the issue. And that is just how it works. But when I communicated this, what I received was a link uh, to, uh, put up a booking and then stating, sorry, I don't treat at this particular place. And I had no idea the person has a private practice or anything for that matter. Now, one could say, that is my fault as well. Yes, definitely. There is a massive fault on my side. That is first, I had no idea the person was having a private practice or not. Second, since I received a recommendation, I thought it's okay for me to go and just shoot a blank message. Not a blank message, a message with information about my thing. And I wanted to send another message saying, look, I'll come and say hi to you first. We can get to know each other. Then if you feel like doing, you can go ahead and do it. But before that, I got this entire, the link and saying that I'm not doing this. My issue is not how it happened, but my issue is why there was no quality in that, entire communication. And this sometimes happens in other industries as well. See, if someone has backache or other sorts of chronic pains, it has a huge impact on their quality of life. It brings down the quality of life to a level in certain instances where the person no longer feels like going anywhere to meet anybody. I think people in our industry should learn this and understand this. So if a person sends a message, yes, the person who is sending the message can definitely come to private practice. That's not the problem. But the problem is how exactly we'll be communicating. Maybe you are busy and all that. Take your time and communicate. That's okay. And sending something, all of a sudden out of the blue, a link, I don't think that's, the right method of communicating things with the person. You can always try to understand the issue of your client or a potential client for that matter. Sometimes the person might not come, but that's okay. It's like you go to a bank, you try to understand their products, right? It's like you go to any other service. Let's say you go to a hotel, you view the room and everything before you go. Before a surgery, you inquire about the doctor and everything as well. And yes, if someone is providing freelance, I don't know whether the person provides freelance or I just send a simple message asking whether can I come and talk to you. Yes, I can talk to that person. And after talking, even when I talk to that person, the person could very clearly say, look, I don't treat like this. You can come to my clinic or whatever the other place, and here's how it's going to work. My question is not that. My question is what has happened to that communication component? Why it is no longer in our field? Is it okay for us to ask, okay, is this person doing all right? Because end of the day, every person, because if I felt something in that particular instance, I think almost every other person who is making calls and who get, these limited answers, simple descriptions, rude behaviors, uh, sometimes mm, disrespectful behaviors from healthcare professionals, I think all of them would feel whatever, I felt at that time. And I don't think anyone should feel rejected or, put down like that, especially, when they try to go and talk something regarding, their health. At least in my area of expertise, at least in my line of work, someone talks to you, you always talk. Because sometimes people who talk are ready to, take up their lives, or they are in severe distress. And maybe, there are certain areas where people are not in that distress, but then again, you never know. So I think the client may do mistakes, the patient may do mistakes, but still spending a little bit of time, at least 1 minute, to understand the issue is the least that we can do, to empathize with our client, to understand what they go through, to see the problem in their, by placing yourself in their shoes. These are basics. You can't do these kind of basics. It's I don't know what to say actually. I don't know the trajectory this field is actually going right now in our country. So if you are a student, if you are listening to this, I want you to understand something. Yes, you need to be compensated for everything that you do, but doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to simply send a link for someone and say this is what you need to do. Someone send you a message, ask a question, you damn as well answer that, because you are not necessarily providing advice, but you are just reciprocating another person's request. It's not something that is expensive. You shouldn't be providing advices over a text message, and that you can of course stay away from doing that, but still there's always a minimum that you could do. Whatever that you don't like, you can talk to that party in a polite way. So if you are a student, always know, someone ask a question, you try your best to help them, and then tell the procedures of how to go ahead. Okay, that is exactly what you have to, and this is exactly what I wanted to tell today as well. I think I'll make videos like this in future. The video quality is pretty low because I'm recording from my laptop, but in future I would try to use the ring light and all of that and whatnot to make better videos. But I just wanted to tell this because I think we talk about inclusive practice, we talk about ethical practice, we talk about being moral and all these kind of things. But then again, this was just my experience yesterday, so I thought there's something. This is teachable moment for myself and for everyone else as well. And I think inclusive practice means the patient needs to be heard first without even knowing anything. I don't think there is that inclusivity in that entire communication. So this is exactly what I wanted to say, and I will come and see you again in a similar video like this. And just feel free to put your comments. Maybe my style of thinking is wrong, and feel free to tell me that as well. Then I could learn something out of that as well. Or maybe I'm expecting too much, you never know. So this is exactly what I wanted to say. So thank you very much. I'll see you again in a similar video in future.